Hi, I'm Irene with Cornerstone Christian Counseling. I'm here today with Alexa Berstler. How do I say your last name?
Yep, just like the Starburst candy.
Okay, I love it. And want to know all about you as a counselor. So tell me about yourself.
Yes, yeah. So as a counselor, I kind of fell into this career field having been in the military prior. Although I loved the community and the camaraderie that I had found, I knew that it wasn't like the perfect fit. And I also didn't like necessarily support my family goals either. And so trying to find a career that was a little bit more flexible allowed me to be present with my family and also just really tapped into, I think, some natural ability and skills that I have of being attuned to other people. I've always been told that by my family and by my friends is that a lot of people will just tell me their life story in the first few minutes of meeting me. And I invite it. And I'm so honored to be able to be in a field that I can truly use those skills that I believe God has given me. And I pray that that's the same thing that my clients experience as well.
That's awesome. I love the part where you said people who meet you just naturally want to tell you their story. That's so cool. So I know we talked about this before the video, but do you feel like you have any niches that you're particularly passionate about or the type of clients that you like to see?
Yes, yeah, I love, working with women, really in all facets, stages of life, especially having been a new mom myself. I love working with new mamas and just the journey that is in postpartum and even, child loss. I would love to work with that individual. And also, I'd say that I really do connect well with young kiddos and teens and even young adults. I love to keep it light in the session. I love to tease a little bit. I love to um, really challenge them because I think, that they are the next generation of leaders. And I would love to come alongside them and help them find their identity in Christ, hopefully, but also just in general, being able to kind of navigate the spaces that they have to navigate now is just so complex. And so I want to be kind of a grounding force, a sounding board, if you will, to be able to provide insight and also challenge them, in new ways of thinking about things. And so yeah, I would say health related issues because I am currently pursuing some schooling in being able to eventually become board certified as a holistic nutritionist because that's a huge passion of mine. I see the mind gut connection as so important, especially with anyone struggling with ADHD, depression, anxiety, postpartum depression, all of the things. I mean, I think it is so connected to how you're nourishing your body and fueling your mind. And so I love to kind of bring that in as much as possible into my sessions with clients if they're open to it. By no means am I a doctor, so I will never advise in that way, but I will definitely provide some insight and ask questions to hopefully just provide a different perspective. So.
So I noticed you mentioned before that you have a heart for adolescents. I
Mhm.
myself have an adolescent son right now. It's a kind of hard group to talk to. There's all the hormones raging. They're wanting to be with their friends more. How do you connect with this particular age group and what makes you so passionate about helping them?
Yeah, and so honestly, this was one of my most challenging clients that I have worked with before. It was a middle school boy, and he was adopted by his grandparents and just came from a really troubled home. Grandparents were super supportive, super involved, loved their hearts. And honestly, that's why we had as much success in his story as we did. But it was a lot of, bringing psychoeducation into it for grandma and grandpa of like, how do you interact with kids today? Like, what are they being exposed to? And how can we equip you with the tools to help regulate him when social media and everything around a middle schooler is so dysregulating. And so that was a lot of work that we did that really helped build up that support system around him. And then, I think he ultimately really struggled with obsessions and some OCD. And so I was able to give him some really solid tools on how to regulate that and how to address the hyperventilation, the anxiety attacks, and being able to really learn about his body and why it was being triggered in the ways that it was being triggered. And also some identity stuff too, right? And some shame in being adopted. We were able to really dive deep as we gained more rapport with each other. And so he came out of that, equipped with the right tools, the ability to self-regulate in times of stress, and to also kind of begin to understand his identity, not only, just as who he wants to become, but also just ultimately who he is in Christ. And I think that was the greater victory in all of that. So,
That's amazing that the grandparents were able to help him get help at an early age and some of these things that he's learning, having to dig through. I mean, thank goodness he's doing it now.
yes.
And then he can carry that on to adulthood versus waiting until years later when things have solidified in a very bad way and had a lot of negative impact on on his life. So you mentioned obviously your background coming from the military. Does that also make you passionate about working with people like military veterans, family members, people currently in it, first
Mhm.
responders? How does that again help your past experience help you become a better counselor toward this group?
Yes. I mean, I lived that life for 11 years. So I know it very closely and intimately. And now I know it as a dependent and a spouse. And so even that is a journey in and of itself. And remembering, that my husband has late hours and it's hard to communicate sometimes. And so I would just love, I love working with spouses of military members. I love working with military members who are transitioning out because I recently just did that. And the identity crisis that kind of happens with that, the shift in your day to day, really just having to redefine what life looks like again. It's scary, and I'm firsthand went through it, and so I would love to journey alongside anyone who is in that process or is about to enter that process, because it's really helpful to have someone who has been there, who knows the lingo, knows the pressures of what that looks like, to be kind of typecasted in a certain sense when you're exiting the military. There's definitely a certain stigma around it amongst those who are still in, and it's hard to talk to people about it unless you have like a really solid support group outside of the military. And so I would love to be that space to be able to help people kind of rediscover themselves, and that includes, just spouses and communication, and how do we work alongside the active duty member and provide a space at home that is uplifting and supportive of them, but also honoring to you as the spouse in your journey and kind of being that rock for the family. So, yeah,
Well, that's perfect because you happen to be based in Colorado Springs. So if you
yes,
want to meet in person with Alexa, as well as you're also available online, right? Is that
yes,
for all of Colorado?
mhm,
Okay,
yep,
great.
yeah.
Any last final words of encouragement for somebody who might be listening to this, who might be hurting, and they're just not sure about taking that next step? What would you say to them?
I would say, go easy on yourself. This is this is tough for everybody. And, to even come to this video, come to this page, I feel grateful that you're here. And I just want you to know that I am a safe space. And I want you to know that you will be heard and you will be respected and you will be um, loved well as a sister or brother in Christ. And so I just, I hope that you take that next step for your own well being. And so that would be my encouragement to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Alexa. If you are seeing our video on YouTube, definitely click in the description. You can see Alexa's whole bio, book a session with her, or if you're already on our website, again, click the button and she is more than happy to see if you're a good fit and get started right away. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thank you.